Hey everyone, in this video I'll be going over the changes in my Learn Platform 2024 submissions. So my goal is to try to make it easier than previous semesters, and I'm always trying to improve this platform to make it easier to capture the evidence of doing your assignments. So this one is going to be from the perspective of IT 202, specifically 008, not that it really matters, but it's generally applicable for all my courses, or a majority of my courses. Now, this one was before I realized the limitation on GitHub side, which I'll highlight when I go through here. So this and only this submission will be a little bit different. All other submissions will follow another verbal instruction. So in general, you'll have a link that's going to take you to your submission from Canvas. It'll typically look like this, or whatever your course is, and that'll likely bring you to this version of my worksheet or tool, or whatever we're going to call it. So here we have the course. We have whether or not it's something generic that applies to more of my courses, or if it's specific to a singular course. And the title is submission. Then you have a section for your actual submissions. You will see the latest 5 submissions that you've done, but most of the time you'll likely just do one. The way a submission process works is you have 3 different phases. You have active, where you can actively edit it; closed, where you can't edit it and you don't want it considered for grading; and graded, which is what happens after the grader applies a grade. You can't edit a closed or graded assignment. You'd have to only have an active assignment. So if you have a closed or graded assignment and you need to make any changes, you can choose to do so by making a new submission, meaning it's completely blank and it loads in whatever the latest version of the assignment is. This is helpful if I have to make any typo fixes or if the URL doesn't work. I believe this one was fixed, but at one point the URL wasn't connected correctly, but you can just copy paste that and put it in the address bar. But anyway, or you can take one of those closed or graded assignments, you can make a copy of it, meaning it'll take whatever you'd submitted before and it'll let you make those modifications so you don't have to redo everything. If the instructions are kind of long, you can scroll through them. Generally what I'll do is I'll have at least a high level overview of what you need to do, but for the early assignments I'll kind of have more step-by-step so you can easily follow it without any struggle. Again, this one is going to be doing it the way I used to do it in 2023, but I changed how I'm doing the file output, and the new file output isn't going to really work out beneficially, so I'll be highlighting that at the end and how to do the future items. Anyway, every assignment will have a desired branch name. You want to make this branch as soon as you start working on an assignment, that way you don't mistakenly add things to the wrong branch or the wrong timeline. So I'll be doing this with you guys as I go through the example. Then it'll show you how many tasks there are and how many points in total it is. Tasks are typically grouped into groups. If there's no group, it'll just be under a group called no group, so it's technically still a group. But this one specifically is GitHub readings, and I already have kind of like some sample stuff, which I will get rid of because I did this example already, but I'll update this anyway. So this semester I'm doing more W3 Schools readings, and you guys are going to be capturing the evidence that you've completed those tasks. Other assignments will have screenshots of code, screenshots of output, links to different resources. So like if it is an IT 202 assignment, you'll likely linking to your web server's production or dev instance, depending on what the question is, typically your production instance. If this is something like my IT114 Java class, then most of that development is local, and I likely won't be asking for links to things the majority of times. If it's another class, then it depends on how that class is conducted. Now, when you have your different tasks, you have 3 standard task types. You have your images, so you can have any number of images to capture something. This is typically capturing code screenshots and output screenshots. You have response or text, sorry, where you will explain something, you'll talk about something, you'll reflect on what you're doing. It's usually anywhere from like a sentence or a couple sentences. It's not going to really be essays, at least not from my perspective. Maybe it could even be one word, but it's the same type of input, so it's going to be a fairly easy to use editor that you can do like special text. And then lastly, you have a URL task type, so that's going to be where you can link things. So Again, if it's IT202, it's where you're going to link um, your web server. If it's another course, you may have a link to other resources you utilize throughout the semester or the assignment, sorry. Or it could be whatever else. It depends on the context of that assignment. So this one is just GitHub reading. Yeah, sorry, not GitHub readings. This is W3 school readings. So this one is saying, hey, let's open up the tutorial and make an account. So the readings are all going to follow similar structure. You're going to have some tutorial you're going to do parts of, typically not the whole thing. It's mostly just going to be parts. Don't get afraid of this time required. It's really not that much unless you take a really long time to go through things. W3 schools is usually very concise and beginner friendly. So don't get too scared, but also don't like leave it for like the last minute. So generally you're going to have different categories. These categories will relate to, whoops, I also haven't mentioned here, but they'll relate to the items here. So complete the essentials. So that's essentials. Complete essential commands, and so on and so forth. So this one doesn't really require you to do anything except just go through the readings. You don't have to do anything hands-on aside from like just doing whatever is on the site. And the evidence is to capture that you've completed them, preferably from this page. There's one more page that someone else has showed me that has more or less this summary. So either one works as long as it shows that you've completed it. And we want to make sure we're doing this through our own account so that we keep track of our progress. So mostly the big important type of task is your screenshots, and that's what I was spending this previous winter trying to kind of revamp to make it easier. So I'll show the basics of how to use this for W3 schools, and then I'll show an example of how we can use it for code screenshots, even though this one doesn't require code. It's just good to know how to use. So we click edit. That's going to bring up a little canvas area. So let's say I don't have an image. So if I didn't have an image here, I can either drag and drop, I can paste image, I can upload it, or I can use a URL. Most of the time, you guys are going to be pasting it because you can use your computer's snipping tool. So on Windows, I believe it's Windows key Shift S. On Mac, I don't recall the shortcut off the top of my head. You do not need to save the file to your machine unless you want to, just in case. Then you can just paste it here. So I'll take my first example. I'm going to grab something like this, or even this is fine, doesn't matter. Just capture that you got the screenshots and paste it in. Now, every image is, oh, first of all, make sure you see the preview. If you don't see the preview, then something happened. Every image is going to require a caption. This is part of the grading criteria. The caption is just to summarize what you're showing. So, showing lesson 1 completed. The reason being is because sometimes some screenshots will have a lot of information on there, and you want to make sure that you're precisely trying to highlight what you're showing for that particular assignment. Sometimes it might be kind of redundant, but just do it for the free points. At least you have a caption there. You can add as many screenshots as you want, as you need. You just click the add button and do the same process. Additionally, you can color on top of it. So if you want to circle something, if you want to highlight something instead, you can just use the opacity here or transparency, and it more or less should work. If you need to start off with a different background or clear out a background, you can pick one of the colors in the background. You can change your brush size or whatever. I also have the ability to track active undos. So when you first open this, it'll record those undos. If you close it again and open it again, then it'll record undos from that perspective. You can also reset back to original state. Below, you also see a little gallery down here where you can easily switch between your different screenshots if you need to, or you can just use the arrow keys up here. Now, sometimes your images may also have, well, most of the time, your images will also have a checklist item. You'll see a checklist later on, but this one doesn't because it's just you did it or you didn't do it. Now, in a checklist scenario, there's going to be another drop down where you can associate images to specific checklist items. This is not part of grading, but it is recommended because it'll make it really clear what images are solving what checklist item. And that'll make it easier for the grading and, well, for yourselves to make sure you've completed that task. I do recommend to click save when you're done with this window, although you can close it out without saving, so I'm going to demonstrate that. If you refresh a page or leave here without saving, it is gone, so you can always just save down here. I already have some things filled in, so that's why you see the estimate grade down here, but what happens is as you fill things in, it'll give you an estimate grade based on assuming what you filled in was accurate. All right, so I'm going to go and grab the samples here just to go through the assignment with you. And paste that in, and lesson 2 completed. Again, I'm not going to save it yet. I'm just going to save it at the end just to make sure everything works good. Or it works okay. For those of you that, had these changes for the first time, there are a couple issues and bugs I had to fix because I kind of rushed through a couple things. Okay, that's why, so it's not cut. Yeah, so you can always just move things around if you feel like something's cut, but whatever is in this black border is what will be captured. Okay, cool. This is not QWE. Lesson 3. Whoops, lesson, I can't spell. 3 complete. Lesson 4. Yep, lesson 4 has a bit more. Let's paste that and same lesson 4 completed. Make sure we have everything good enough. Okay, it centers it in the middle, just in case you're wondering. Just let's do an example. You don't have to do this, I'm just demonstrating so you can be like, hey, this is done. Not that you need to. Lesson 6, notice that not everything is required, although I did go through this myself just because I wanted to see what was available. I skipped some things for you guys because it might not be relevant to the particular lesson. You may go back to it at some point, sometimes you may not. I usually just recommend to complete the entire thing because it's good to show the status on GitHub on W2 Schools, but I'm only really grading those items. Lesson 6 complete. Lesson 7. Another thing that you might have saw it down here is my image is all just drawing. Not that it's a valid scenario, but you technically could just draw stuff here. Okay, lesson 7. Oh, that's 7 complete. Completed, whatever. Okay, now this is one where you have some response. So usually the responses will have specific criteria for you guys to meet. This one is your reflection. Most assignments will have some sort of reflection category. It will either be a separate task or a separate category group or whatever. So summarize your understanding of the readings and how we'll be using Git in this class. Mention any issues you might have encountered and how you resolve them. Now, don't use this section to say that you had a stopping issue and not been able to progress. This is meant to be a reflection, and hopefully you've accomplished or overcame that issue. Either asking me in class, office hours, or online. I'm usually around to help you fix these issues within limits of my syllabus. And this is just to track your progress throughout the semester. So, mentions issues or no issues. Although this is low-hanging fruit, try not to do no issues. It's very unlikely you haven't had issues because most of you are doing this for the first time. It's very rare to actually get somebody that, has already gone through this process in these classes. Cover core concepts related to your reading, so summarize what you learned in this reading, what was important, etc. At least a few reasonable sentences, so don't just put like, I learned Git. That's not meaningful. You want to put something meaningful and have that recorded. You don't need to do essays most of the time unless it specifically asks for that, which is something I know I usually don't ask for. So I'm going to open it up. You have your little editor here. You can do whatever formatting you want, etc. If you want to preview what it's going to look like, you can go to the preview tab. Same thing for the images too. This one has a checklist, but it's not an image type, so there's no association. You just see here. This does nothing for the assignment. This is just for your own personal tracking, so it's optional. This is just how you're going to get graded. Now, a word on the checklist. Although you see the value of points here, the way it works is whatever the total is, you'll get graded out of that total, and that's going to convert to a percentage. That percentage will go based to the task. If the task is in a group, then those tasks get grouped into a percentage, and that's will apply to the grading of the group. So the group is what your actual final value is, and the children of those groups or checklist items or whatever is what makes up that full group point value. So just to hopefully avoid that, I didn't have a better word than points, because it's not just percentages yet. Anyway, so mention issues or no issues. Platform issues that got resolved over time. Setting up it. I had some typos in the config file and key file. I resolved by redoing those steps, something like that. I don't know. Few reasonable sentences, that's fine. If you have any special formatting, it will preview here. Otherwise, you are good to go. Then typically at the end, there's going to be this little line here, just to note that it's there. Originally, this was here to ensure that whatever was being exported later, which I'll get to, had everything. Originally, when I did this platform change, we had two ways to export, single page, multi-page, but single page wound up having some issues that it's not worth overcoming. So everything's going to be multi-page, and I'll explain that. But again, aside from that, as you go, you're going to get your estimated grade. If you ever submit anything late and you see a 0 applied, you can always plug in this estimated grade into the Canvas to see what grade you should get, and make yourself feel at ease, so you won't see a big 0 sitting around. Now I did all these last. I did all these without saving, so I'm going to save at the end to show you the whole status change. Could take a second. So we saved a submission. Is it today's date? No, it's not. This is when I started the submission. Once you're done, there's this couple steps that we're going to do here. I kind of missed doing a step with you, but I'll do it here anyway. But we have to get this export file. This export file is going to go to our GitHub. For this assignment and this assignment only, we're going to use the link from GitHub and put that on Canvas. Other assignments will take this file, put on your GitHub for your tracking purposes, and you'll upload this file to GitHub. I already set up the next lesson, or sorry, the next module's homework to fix that, but I'll demonstrate why I had to do that as well. So I'm going to export this. It's going to create this download file, and I will hopefully open it on another window, but we'll find out. So I already have Git Bash set up. I'm in the practice conflict branch from where I left off in class. So what we always want to do when we're doing our homeworks, when we're making our branches, which I do advise you to do first, is you want to go to your main branch or whatever the primary branch is for your course, pull the latest changes, make sure it's up to date, and then we're going to create the new branch. And then we can immediately push it while you're doing the homework, and then go through the different steps. Most often I'll have fairly general steps here, so if you ever forget the process, just look down here in the instructions. So I'm going to check out to main. I'm going to pull the latest changes once it switches. I don't know why it's taking a second. Git pull origin main. Helps if I spell origin, and let me increase the size a little bit. Okay, this one doesn't have the proper key set up, so I'm going to do this momentarily here. I'm currently incorrectly in a shared drive. So this is what I set up in class, and it's synchronized to my computer at home. So let's see what keys I have. I don't want to edit it because I don't want to break what's in class. sh add, and my key is njt key. Okay. Now let's try again. Git pull origin. Okay, so the warning is okay here because I have it pointing to a different key in my configuration. Oops. I added something else already, whatever. Oh no, I pulled in stuff. Okay, let me see. Get status. If I can type. Okay, so I have already a couple things here, so I'm going to delete them real quick. Don't do this. It's just me cleaning it up for the video. RM PDF. Get status. This is just clean up. Get dot. Get commit. Cleaning up test stuff. I was testing it before. Okay, get status. Okay, so now let's bring in my other file. I'm going to drag this from my downloads, paste it here, just to show you it showed up here. You shouldn't need to change the name, but if you want to change the name, you can. Just make sure it is a PDF file, or that's a redundant, but make sure it's a PDF. So get status, we have our new file here. I'm going to be making my homework branch, so let's take a look at what the branch is here. M1 get readings, get checkout minus B, M1 get readings. The name doesn't have to be exact, but close enough is fine. Get status, good. Get add, and I'm going to show you get status that we are now tracking it. I'm going to commit it, get commit. I know some summary of what it is. Finished reading homework for get stuff. Get push origin M1 getting, oh no, get reading. Okay, so I just pushed it to GitHub. I will go to my GitHub. I just got to pick the one for this homework. So you'll have your branch created. You're going to do compare and pull request, and you're going to merge into the primary branch. So most classes, this will be main. My web dev classes and maybe a few others will eventually lead to like a dev, QA, or prod branch that we're going to be organizing, and that's going to be our new main. But like everyone, this reading, this getting started, whatever homework it is going to be in main, which is fine. So create the pull request. I can merge it because I'm kind of done with the process now. There's nothing else to add. However, when we do our homeworks, future homeworks, you can immediately, if you have file changes, you can immediately open this and just leave it sitting. As long as it's open, it'll receive all those changes. I'm done, so I'm just going to go and merge my pull request. Then what I'm going to have you guys do for this assignment, again, future ones are different because of limitations. We're going to go to the homework branch. We're going to click our file, and we're going to grab this URL. This is going to be what we're going to do for submitting to Canvas. Now, the limitation on GitHub is that these aren't clickable. It's okay if the quality is a little funny. That's because GitHub renders PDFs as images, which I didn't realize until recently. So since the render is images, we'll upload the PDF to Canvas as well. This is more for your tracking. So this is going to show you basically everything you've done. And you're going to use this to kind of like show off at the end of the semester or go back and kind of see what's going on and see your progress. So this first assignment is just a URL. I'm going to go back here. I'm already as like a student, so I will click start assignment and paste that link. You do not need to provide a comment unless I ask you to provide a comment for something, so you can just start, you can submit your assignment. Good, that's it. You want to make sure it's there, everything's up to date. Now, if you go to your submission details, and if your repository is private, Canvas cannot read it, which is fine. The grader and myself will have access, so we're just going to open up a new tab and we're going to interact with whatever we need to interact here. For the first assignment, we're going to have to probably download it. For other assignments, it should render correctly. I don't have that set up to demonstrate, but it's just a file upload. And that's it. Then the grader will leave feedback and whatnot. So that should be the end of that process. Just to kind of be thorough, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to check out main, get checkout main, and I'm going to pull the latest changes, get pull origin main. This is going to pull the latest history so that we're ready for the next task that we have in the future, next week, next whatever. And that's it. Again, make sure your things are saved, make sure you output it. Do not close it unless you don't want it to be graded. Once you close it, you will be able to go to create a copy of it or create a new submission, and you can go back and forth between previous submissions. The grader is only going to grade whatever the single active submission is, and then you'll get your grade applied, and you'll be able to see that on this platform once that's done. If you run into any issues, oh wait, actually, before I say that, so specifically for 202 or any web courses, we will likely use Heroku as our web server. Since Heroku had made a change with how the URLs are generated, we get some random numbers in our URL in the first portion of it, the prefix, I guess, of the domain. So it's a little bit harder to kind of like memorize and what to fix. So if you need to keep switching back to production, because you have to for this, you're going to take screenshots from dev and you're going to submit links to production that will be ready once you finish a pull request. There's a little notes tool here where you can add a note of what your production URL is. So for example, prod, what's that filter? Can't read. So add a note. So if I do my prod URL, I can, hopefully I still have Heroku open for my example. Heroku. Let's just say this is my prod, and let's just say this is real. I don't know what this is. I don't remember. So this is my, that's a bad example because it's an old one. Let's go to a new one. This should be fine. Nope, man, I gotta find one that has that change. Maybe it's this one. Unless I reverted it, that would be fantastic. No, okay, this is it. So you'll get these random things here. I just opened dev by accident. I meant to do prod. So the whole problem here is we have these random character or text in the URL. They did this for whatever reason, not really important, but it made it harder to memorize. So I'm not going to have you guys memorize it. That's why I have this note tool, and you can record this as a note. So save. And if you ever need to go and do your homeworks, you can grab this as a URL and then type the path to this specific resource you will need to link to. And once you finish your merges, it'll be a live URL. It's not going to be live until you're done with your homework. But this is just for my web-related courses where we have public deployments. I think that's the gist of it. Oh, and the example for showing you how we can submit code. So if you happen to have a code question, you can either take a screenshot of code yourself, or I'm working on this beta version of getting code from your GitHub. Now, this works easily without having when your repository is public. However, your repository is private, so we're going to take an extra step. This is my private repository here. I don't have a better example. Let me make a quick edit here. Not that I should, but okay. I just need to do this to demonstrate the tool. So if your repository is private, which it should be, you're going to have to get the raw URL because we need this token. This is a temporary token that we're going to use. And if I paste that here, wait for it to show as fetch complete, go to review reduce, it's going to give me a side-by-side comparison of my code. So this is the original code, and on the left is what we're going to be submitting. So if you need to trim out what you want to submit because the file is so large, which is possible, you can specify any combination of line number, well, any incremental combination of line numbers. So if I want to only show lines 2 to 4, and let's say I want to do 7 as well for whatever reason, you can condense down your code. Just be careful you don't overwrite your original image. So I'm going to click plus, and hopefully that's all good. This is what's going to get copied. Let me just update this real quick. So 7. Good. Once you have it to how you like it, you can click generate image, and it'll bring you to the next area. When you click edit image, you can draw, color, whatever you want, and you'd have a caption. So showing fake snippet. So again, this is in beta. For the most part, I haven't had too many issues, but if the code really significantly goes off the screen, it's not captured properly, but you can use this to kind of better capture the code after you're done comparing with the original. And then you save and it's going to upload properly. This is what it would look like as a code block. The preview of the image is only on this edit image area. So this is a kind of combination use tool. It's mostly for generating this screenshot for you guys. So that's option one, or you can just grab the image from your code, either from GitHub or from your VS Code. It doesn't matter. And that should be the gist of it. Pun not intended. So again, now if you have any issues, concerns, questions, whatever, please let me know. I'm constantly trying to make sure this is a smooth process for you guys. This tool is used to kind of unify how everyone submits their assignments, so it's easy for you guys to know what to do and easy for the graders to go through in mass. So thanks for watching. Take care and see you guys in the next video or next class.